Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing all things Week 15, our somewhat instant reactions to Week 15. Sam, we'll go around the horn and go through all of it. It's been a crazy week already because games have been moved. We got a couple on Monday. We have a couple on Tuesday. We had a Saturday game, so all sorts of fun. I'll let you start. What's your first immediate reaction to Week 15?
My first takeaway is that, we thought it was all Urban Meyer. It turns out the Jags might just suck, a lot.
Yeah.
The Jags, they're terrible. They jumped into the number one overall draft pick from number 3 after yesterday's games, after Sunday's games. They gave up a kick return touchdown where about 5 different players were in the midst of tackling the guy, only to all just fall off. It was like that Barry Sanders highlight against the Bears years ago where, a pile of Chicago Bears jump on the guy and suddenly he spins out and they all bounce to the floor. The Jags are just awful right now. And sure, Urban Meyer was certainly part of the problem and did an awful lot of bad things. But, don't expect this giant, bounce back now that the shackles have been taken off.
Did you expect everything to be completely different? Look, I joke about the new coach bump and all that stuff, but it is really tough to undo everything that's happened this season. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason in Jacksonville because they're going to have to start from scratch again, and they might have the first overall pick. My immediate takeaway is about the analytics, Sam, have been at the forefront all weekend. We'll have more on the PFF NFL podcast. We'll have more detail, I'd say, about the specific decisions in the games and all that stuff. But we started with Thursday Night Football with the Chargers and Brandon Staley just going for it over and over and over again. All of the decisions, I think, were right, but they didn't all work out. The Chiefs even went for it. Patrick Mahomes bounces a pass. They went for it on 4th and 1. But coming out of that game, the Chargers lost and theoretically left 3 or 4 field goals on the table. So people are saying, hey, Brandon Staley cost him the game. But then Saturday night, the Colts kept going for it on 4th and 1, and they executed better, right? They kept going for it. QB sneaks with Carson Wentz. So the aggressive 4th down mentality kind of all over the place this week. And you've got the for and against folks making their cases. And it's been an interesting start because of all those decisions.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that jumps out to me about all of that stuff is that we are seeing it's not going anywhere, right? We are seeing this continual aggressive approach by teams, despite in a lot of instances it not working out. Remember, we've seen a few times this season a team go for 2 points at the end of the game to try and win the game and not get it, right? And that, if you go back a few years, that would be the kind of thing that would set that whole kind of approach back years. They would get so destroyed and so ripped by everybody. And that's still happening, right? There's still a bunch of kind of old school type of dinosaur pundits that rip these decisions. But we're seeing a bunch of teams essentially screw up that opportunity, not take advantage of it, miss, and still come back for more. The Baltimore Ravens went for 2 at the end of the game against Green Bay to try and get the win, not just tie it up. As you said, the Chargers are rolling through the good and the bad of those decisions. So I think the fact that teams are so determined to keep doing that, despite not necessarily catching the good side of the production yet, is really encouraging.
And my big takeaway on some of this is, the QB sneak is extremely valuable. Even Big Ben ran 2 QB sneaks. He hates the QB sneak. What if he had that in his repertoire his entire career? If you do it right, it's a cheat code. And that's why the Colts could probably feel a little better about their 4th and short decisions, whereas the Chargers, they weren't all 4th and 1, but the Chargers didn't always dial up the best plays. All season, right? They've had some low percentage 4th and 1. So I think that's kind of like this next step. There's the decision, and then there's the play call and the execution when it comes to the analytics stuff. Before we get into another takeaway, 'tis the season of giving, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving you a Christmas present you won't want to re-gift. New customers can bet just $5 on any of the 4 NFL teams playing on Christmas and win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. Why not win some green and put some extra jingle in your pocket? If Sportsbook isn't yet available in your state, your Christmas can still be merry. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests, football contests, and DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings app now. Use promo code PFF. Bet just $5 on any team to win on Christmas Day and win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. That's promo code PFF this Christmas at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, and Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required, one per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Any other big takeaways from you from this Week 15?
The AFC North is madness. The Cincinnati Bengals get a win on the road in Denver. They jump to the top of that division. The Baltimore Ravens were that 2-point conversion attempt at the end of the game away from getting the top spot in the division themselves. The Cleveland Browns playing on, where are they, Monday night now? They can jump back to the top of the division. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are like half a game back at the dead last position.
It's nuts.
In the division. The entire division is right on the cusp of the playoffs. They're right on the cusp of the first place in the division, and all of them could be the bottom team and not even making the postseason at this point.
Yeah, and I think for various reasons. I really think every team came into the season. And, the Steelers have their strengths too, but the other three teams, you could see paths to them being really, really good. And then the Steelers, it's like, Big Ben can do some stuff late in the game, and Mike Tomlin, and they were going to beat each other up. And we kind of expected a competitive AFC North, but like you said, madness. And now because Lamar Jackson's injury didn't help, though Tyler Huntley played great. And one of my takeaways is coming out of that game. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, they're in the driver's seat, as far as the number one seed goes. And this may have been the top shot for a team to knock them off on the way here. So the Packers, they're in control for the number one seed. Almost blew it against the Ravens, but we're looking at the Packers probably, in line to be that number one team once again for the second straight year. And after all the craziness in the AFC, same thing with the Chiefs. The Chiefs had the number one seed last year. The Titans had a chance to reclaim it. They lose to the Steelers. And now the Chiefs control the number one seed, just like we had last year after this season of parity and season of just, crazy surprises.
Yeah, and everybody else is kind of screwing around enough that Kansas City might just get their stuff in shape by the postseason. I'm still not 100% sure that offense is fixed. It's all the way back. It's the same unit we saw from the last couple of years. But the game against the Chargers was as close as we've seen them to that kind of team for a while, maybe all season long. Like they just pitched it over, and it was Mahomes, it was Travis Kelce, it was Tyreek Hill. And it was those three guys took over and won that game for them and put up a ton of points in the fourth quarter. That hasn't been happening so far this season. And again, the Chargers, they didn't do what the Raiders did, but they didn't put them in the kind of situations that has caused them problems this season. But at some point, everybody might just be giving them enough, easy layups that they kind of get their groove back, and they're no longer suffering the way they were against those kinds of defenses earlier in the season.
Do you have any other takeaways? I got a big one.
What do you got?
The Arizona Cardinals regressing. Maybe they were just overrated this entire time. I wanted to give them credit. They deserved credit for much of the season. But really bad loss to the Lions. Credit to Dan Campbell and the Lions continuing to play hard. But the Cardinals regression that I was kind of expecting all along the way really started to hit these last two games, Monday night and then Sunday against the Lions. Really bad loss. Again, with playoff implications, 30-12. Lions beat the Cardinals here.
Yeah, the Rams game was a tough matchup, and you can kind of say, look, the Rams are good enough that you can excuse that kind of loss for pretty much any team in the NFL. The Buccaneers lost to the Rams earlier in the season, and that was one of their statement wins. But to not bounce back against Detroit the following week. And look, this was kind of a weird game. Like a lot of stuff went against Arizona in this game, and it just kept sort of slipping away from them every time they tried to get a foothold back. But ultimately, they're so much better than the Detroit Lions. They should have been able to, at some point, right the ship and claw back that deficit in the game, and couldn't do it. So, yeah, I think that is a significant blow against their title credentials.
And now we're talking, it's the Cardinals' first loss on the road. Yeah, they've been great on the road all year, but they're now in danger of they were a couple days ago, they were the number one seed as of, going into Monday night's game. So just, a week ago, now they're in danger of losing the top spot in the NFC West if the Rams can beat the Seahawks on Tuesday night. So bit of a drop off here for the Cardinals. Those are our quickest, immediate takeaways on Week 15. Of course, the entire Week 15 review we've got it for you in 2 hours or less. I lied. 3 hours or less. The PFF NFL podcast, but this is the PFF